Okay, we talked about um, methods of action to address global inequality and corporate power. We particularly talked about strikes, and there was an in-depth discussion of setting up a state bank and moving forward on that politically. Um, my discussion will be on a proposed project by the Industrial Workers of the World Chicago General Membership Branch to have a workers' self-managed bus cooperative in Chicago. The IWW is a radical union that's been around for over 100 years, and we do organizing industrially, where we try and get all workers in the same industry together rather than being divided by craft or trade. It's a similar model that was later adopted by the CIO. Also, somewhat uniquely within the labor movement, the IWW seeks to organize cooperative job shops. Our Constitution says that to encourage worker self-management of the means of production and the abolition of the wage system, the IWW shall allow non-wage producer cooperatives to join as chartered IWW co-ops, having the right to use the IWW label on their products. IWW co-ops shall consist of 3 members. Any elected office subject to recall. Sure. Okay. Yes. Um, No recompense to IWW member co-ops shall undermine wages in the industry, and co-ops must honor all other unions' boycotts and strikes. IWW co-ops will use union products and services and recycle where feasible. So we have cooperative shops already organized in the IT sector, in printing, and several cafes. But transit is a much larger project, and this will take a higher degree of planning. Um, we've been at it already for about 2 years, have applied for grants, and at this stage, we're mainly working on funding and have developed an extensive business plan. So the city of Chicago has a pretty in-depth transit network, but there's a huge gap on the southwest side of the city along 31st Street. It used to have a bus line that ran all the way along it, but the CTA cut the line in 1998, and since that time, people have been campaigning to bring the route back. However, um, even though the federal government has provided a JART grant, Job Access Reverse Commute, the CTA has been unwilling to match it with local funds and has not restored the route. There have been serious cuts to the rest of the CTA system, resulting in a loss of over 1,000 transit jobs. And we feel that members of the community should now begin to take transit options, take control of their own transit options. Rather than merely asking the city to initiate the routes, we will propose implementing our own route that's initiated by the community, directly serves the community's needs, and covers schools, businesses, and residential areas. We want it to be owned and controlled by the people who operate and ride it. We want to connect it to the rest of the transit stations. We don't want to create some kind of a rival system to CTA. We want this to link up with the existing network. So I want to talk for a little while about the community that we want to serve. Um, we attempt to organize transit workers and riders in a multi-stage process. The first phase of organizing is to form a core committee of unemployed workers with qualifications or workers who are willing to seek the licenses, degrees, and training necessary. We're looking for operators, mechanics, dispatchers, and other services. Since May 2010, we've reached out to transit workers who have lost their jobs as a part of the CTA's February 2010 layoffs, as well as workers at large in the Chicago area. The workers met in the course of our outreach are 95% people of color, and we hope to address the racial disparities in unemployment. According to recent studies and Chicago Reporter articles, Chicago leads 10 major U.S. cities in unemployment disparities by race. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported unemployment reached 33.1% for African American workers in Illinois. The committee seeks to eventually form a workers' cooperative that will be responsible for the democratic self-manage of all transit operations. The cooperative will be eligible for official inclusion in the IWW, and its members are invited um, for union membership in the IWW whenever they wish to join. The bus co-op seeks to provide improved local mobility for youth, students, seniors, and people with disabilities, which are all typical transit-dependent populations. Respiratory illnesses and disabilities related to air pollution are major environmental justice issues within within the corridor addressed by the 31st Street Cooperative. Asthma is a leading cause of school absences and has been shown to have environmental causes and triggers. Getting bus service also has potential health benefits for the surrounding community by providing alternatives to polluting automobile traffic. We can help address the high rates of asthma occurring in this area and help with long-term public health effects forecasted to occur due to climate change. Transportation is the fastest growing source of carbon emissions in the U.S. Buses with higher ridership produce fewer emissions per person per mile traveled. A lot more information in our business plan regarding the demographics, but I'm just going to do a general overview of the plan. Phase one involves generating the funding to purchase buses and pay for permits needed to operate the transit line. We're looking to start with 3 buses and 1 backup in case of breakdown. We want to initiate with a personnel of 13 drivers and 4 mechanics. The first slots available will go to workers laid off. These workers are organized with the ATU, or Amalgamated Transit Union. We proposed asking interested workers to enroll into a lottery, and available positions will be equitably chosen for random selection. Why do we want it worker-owned and operated? One of the main problems with operating a public transit system through traditional business models for government agencies is the expensive overhead. CTA estimates it costs $75 to operate a bus.